Good afternoon, traders and investors. It's Will back here with another one. Today, we kind of had another red day on the markets, guys. Broad market sell-off once again as weekly consolidation on our major indexes continues. And also big tech not being very favorable recently, guys. But as traders, this is when we really need to take a step back and evaluate what levels do we actually want to purchase these companies at? Because there's going to be a decent amount of good deals here over the next few weeks, in my opinion. So we need to get prepared for it. It's time to take a step back, cool our minds off a little bit, really zoom out on the charts, realize that the bulls are in full control of most of our monthly time frames here, but that weekly consolidation was inevitable. So now it's time to really build the shopping list. So guys, today, very negative day here on SPY, 0.73% to the downside, and QQQ just over 1% to the downside as well. Only major news event today was the Fed minutes, but complete non-event in my opinion, as most of the information was known. It's basically just a recap of what Jerome Powell said 2 weeks ago, right? So if we take a look at the heat map here, guys, you will see that once again, broad market sell-off. Really nothing was spared today, with major tech leading the way to the downside, especially Tesla here with a very bad day, down over 3%. On the group screener here, you can see on the one-day relative, all of our major sectors, except for utilities, were once again in the red. 1 week relative performance, guys, as well. Every single sector this week has been declining, right? And on the 1 month relative, you can see that only really energy has really stood the test of time over the past 1 month on a relative basis. So pretty much since mid-July all the way through now. So definitely in weekly consolidation on a lot of names. Now, we did have earnings by Target today. We have a few more earnings tomorrow. We have Walmart and Bill.com that I'll be watching. And then John Deere and Estee Lauder on Friday are the main ones that I'm watching for. But Target here, bit of a non-event as well here. You guys can see that they pretty much remained unchanged on the day. They really had a nice pop here after earnings, about 8%, and then gave it all back as the market really tumbled into the end of the day here. So you guys can see a couple news events up on Target, right? Target, they did beat here on their EPS estimate here by quite a bit, right? 1.8 versus 1.43 expected. Decent little beat here, but down on revenue. So wasn't a full beat across the board. And the news headline that I want to focus on here, Target, much like Bud Light, stung by the culture wars, which started all the way back here. You guys probably remember this very, very, very well. I don't really have to get into it on the channel. You guys can do the research on your own here. A bit of hot topic, right? And Target just not able to keep it up. So a lot of pressure, guys, leading into tomorrow for Walmart here. Going to be very massive. Why? Because Walmart is currently at all-time highs. So will they be able to hold on to the gains? Or will they be shot down into weekly consolidation like the rest of our major names here? So let's get into our major indexes. So SPY, once again here, really flushing this daily downtrend in a decent way today, right? Daily downtrend remains a thing here as we continue to lose levels. Our key area of support that I was targeting yesterday, guys, is now lost in a significant fashion, right? So daily downtrend here, RSI on the daily, not close to being oversold yet, but if we look on the 4 hour here, getting pretty oversold on the 4 hour. So is a temporary bounce potentially warranted? Possibly, guys. But once again, if we do get a 4 hour bounce here, we're just looking for a lower high. Anything below 449, this level here will just be for a lower high for continuation of the downside. All of that, you know, can be reversed by the bulls, but eventually, as I've been saying on the channel, we need to see an engulfing move by the bulls on the daily to really reverse this daily downtrend. Until they do that, weekly consolidation is still underway. We have some decent support levels down here, talking about 437 all the way down to 432, decent little level here. But from the beginning of the move, guys, is really down here, right? Bulls with a lot of space to work with. But the more they pull back here, the less likely you can get a straight V shape. They may need to reset it in 2 different batches type of thing, right? So bulls need to start showing up here in a big way, because as of now, guys, the bears are in full control of the daily and in really decent full control of our weekly consolidation here. I would have liked to see some more sideways weekly consolidation, a bit softer, but getting pretty aggressive on it. SPY now down about 4.2% here off our most recent highs. QQQ, same boat as well. And we're losing potentially the 12 EMAs, guys, the weekly 12 EMAs are in jeopardy of being lost right now. So keep an eye on that, right? So QQQ as well. Daily downtrend simply is continuing for the moment here. As soon as we do get a bounce, I want to focus this on your guys' attention, right? We have a decent little downtrending channel right here on the 4-hour time frame for QQQ, right? So you guys can see this decent little 4-hour downtrending channel. So is it possible we bounce off the channel? Yes. But what will we be looking for? We're just looking for a 4-hour and daily lower high. And if I bring this up here on the daily time frame, you guys will see we will just be looking for any bounce is just for a lower high for potential downtrend continuation here. Key support level 357.40, and after that all the way down to 349, right? So keep an eye on that until the bulls can put in an engulfing move to reverse one of these moves, right? It's going to need to get softer, and eventually once the momentum of the downside kills, it bottoms out really, that's when you get your engulfing move. The bulls get a chance to reverse this potential daily downtrend, right? So we're going to watch this very carefully, but as now, guys, the bulls are in jeopardy of losing this 12 EMA, something that hasn't happened since back here in March. So key levels approaching, in my opinion, guys. Need to be patient and let the market come to you on individual names. XLF financials, again, very negative day on financials as well. Well, it was actually a positive one. They were actually up all the way to 0.77% today and gave it all back intraday ever since this opening candle at 9 o'clock gave the whole entire move back. So at this point, guys, right, your daily uptrend, right, is completely lost. Daily downtrend is confirmed at this point. If we do get a little bounce tomorrow, just expecting a lower high, anything under pretty much, well, it's actually here, 35.28 is just going to be for a lower high bounce into further daily consolidation here, daily downtrend. And on the weekly here, we are kind of cutting big time into this move. The moving averages are here. We're currently right at support on them, right? And we do have my area 33.90 down to about 33.50. This green box right here, going to be decent support. It's previous resistance, right? Anything above 32.52 is still for the weekly higher low, but this is the spot that bulls need to start putting in some activity here to really save the possibility of a future upswing, right? But as of now, weekly consolidation. XLV, healthcare, same thing as we were predicting, guys. We are going to potentially go into a tightening range here. Bulls with a lot of space to work with. Anything above 132 is just going to be for a potential daily higher low here. Even though we double topped here, we can still save a tightening range, right? So that is the best case scenario here, in my opinion. Need to see bulls put a stop to this. Do not want to see the bulls lose this 132 level. That would be a disaster. On the weekly, what are we looking for once again? Well, possibility of a tightening range. So keep an eye on your moving averages down here around the 133 mark, right? For potential consolidation in and potentially going to continue to tighten up. But healthcare has performed very, very well and usually does perform very well when inflation continues to slightly uptick here. So would not be a surprise here, guys, if we just consolidate sideways on healthcare, build up some accumulation here for potentially later on in maybe the next month or so, then we actually get our pop up and move to the all-time high area. IWM Russell, terrible day as well. Bulls really flirting with danger at this point, guys, on IWM Russell. I would have wanted to see them play defense, but just a waterfall drop on IWM, right? From the 52-week highs, we're talking about a 6.5% drop. That's pretty significant. Now trading under the moving averages here. 4-hour, you can see deep oversold here on IWM. So if we do get a bounce, just as similar, guys, any bounce will just be for a lower high for potential downside continuation. Now, on the weekly here, still anything above 180 is going to be your weekly lower high. But now at this point, guys, bulls are really flirting with disaster. Why? Because we're starting to take back too much of the move over the 618 line on the fib here. So bulls have now lost about 70% of their entire upswing. So when you see that that's the case, guys, one of two things can happen. The best case scenario becomes a potential tightening range because it's very difficult to V-shape a 70% engulfing move by the bears. Very tough to V-shape. So the best you can aspire to is potentially a tightening range for a potential future breakout. And the worst case scenario would be weekly lower high and weekly downtrend into monthly consolidation, right? So that scenario is not off the table. But all that to say, guys, that we're getting close to an area here where you need to see the bulls start to put in a bit of a bounce here and start potentially trying at least to reverse this move as best as they can. But as of now, guys, no signs of support. The horizontal support is all the way down here. And if we get all the way down here, guys, I mean, that is your weekly high or low, right? So if you see something like this, it's very possible that they set up for something like that as continuation. But we're going to take this one day at a time, guys. Don't forget, we are still stuck in this entire big range of IWM, right? Not able to break this big range here. On the monthly, though, still decent space. Anything above 169 is going to be your monthly high or low for continuation here. Dow Jones names. Dow Jones also not being favorable right now. Daily downtrend on Dow Jones is confirmed. On the weekly, we are just looking for our weekly high or low. I've been saying keep an eye on this confluence area. 34,500 is going to be huge, guys. 12 EMA on the weekly and your weekly horizontal support. Wouldn't want to see bulls lose this, right? As of now, still anything above 33.6 is just going to be for a weekly higher low for potential continuation. Tomorrow, Walmart, Friday, John Deere, big names here, big names for the Dow Jones here. Going to need to see how they perform here. But as I've been saying, guys, I do think that value is positioned quite well. If ever we get an uptick in September's inflation report and we have more inflation fears, usually investors do pivot to value in such times. So I do think that value is set up nicely. Even on the monthly, you can see, guys, pretty much that, right? Anything above this level right here is also just for a monthly higher low for potential further breakout to the upside. So longer term bulls are in control of these moves, right? It's just that you have to give them a bit of space to work with. Arguably, and even anything above 31.5 is just going to be for your monthly higher low, but wouldn't want to see them crack these lows for sure. But we're going to take it one day at a time. For now, just keep an eye on this 34,600, 34,500 level, very key level. Now, Bitcoin losing here in a decent fashion, right? So Bitcoin having a very, very bad day, breaking down below now. At this point, guys, another daily downtrend is potentially going to be likely here. If they do retest this area, it'll be as resistance, and we might come further down, guys. Now we're eyeing the 28,000 level. You can see that although Bitcoin had a little bit of a thing going for it here, it's very possibly now going to lose the potential for a weekly uptrend and might set up for the weekly downtrend, something like this, right? Where they just continue to set a weekly downtrend. At this point, guys, need to zoom out to the monthly. Key support level 24.5 here. Can't see the bulls drop all the way down there. If we lose this entire move, it's really not going to be looking good for Bitcoin in the next couple of months. I can tell you that. As of now, bears in full short-term control. Daily downtrend has been set once again. You obviously have 28,500 as your line in the sand, moving fastly into it, but after that, 28,000 pocket is what you want to look out for. Apple, once again, breaking down here. Daily downtrend is now confirmed at this point, right? Kind of hesitated here, and now we got the flush. Daily downtrend is confirmed. So weekly consolidation still underway for Apple, quickly approaching my sweet spot. 174 down to 170 is going to be my sweet spot on Apple. Very possible that we blow through that entire area. I don't want to speak too soon, guys, but with the way markets are performing, right, it's very possible. Apple still a bit oversold here on the daily. Now, keep in mind, Apple's been oversold now for quite some time. It's been oversold for more time than it has been all the previous times that it's actually dipped into these areas, right? So is a possible bounce due for on Apple? It's possible, right? But you can never really draw a true conclusion. The market can do what it wants. You can see there's a bit of divergence here. As you can see, the lows on the market, right, and the lows on the RSI are pointing in opposite directions. So usually that would be a bullish signal. But as of now, bulls not capitalizing on these bullish signals at all. At this point, guys, anything, if we do get a bounce, right, just looking for the lower high for further continuation of the downside. Apple, anything above 161 is still going to be your weekly higher low. But now the bulls are kind of losing more and more ground, guys. You can see if I pull up the fib on this, right, they have now pulled back over 50% of this most recent move. Your actual level here is the start of my sweet spot. If we lose 175, guys, it sets up for the possibility of longer term consolidation, and we kind of negate the capacity for a V-shape. So just keep that in mind, guys. If we really continue to break down here, it's going to take several weeks after to reverse this into a new weekly uptrend. So just keep that in mind. AMD, well, that's just why I say you got to be patient now. AMD also breaking back down here towards our 107 level, guys. If we break this 107 level and flush, guys, we're coming down into my sweet spot. That's the next zone of support, 104 down to 100. So you can see a few names approaching my sweet spots quickly. So be patient, wait for stocks to come to you, right? AMD bulls, not looking very good. If we do flush here, expect the daily downtrend to be set in a significant fashion. Your weekly downtrend will also be set, which means that monthly consolidation is still underway. Monthly, tons of space, anything above 81 is your monthly higher low. So bulls in full control. It's just that until we get these lower time frames here to cooperate, until the bulls put in an engulfing move and reverse this on all these names, I'm just going to be calling for the continuation of daily downtrends and weekly consolidation as well, because that's just how the technicals read, right? The trend is your friend. Keep an eye. Very big level here for AMD. And obviously the reverse is true, right? If we come up here and smash this, well, then all of that is negated. Amazon, 2 seconds here, guys. Amazon losing our key level of support here, right? Loss of the 12 EMA on the daily, and also loss of the 135.70 area, right? As was previous support. So Amazon not doing too well at all. Your daily downtrend on Amazon is now set. So now we have this whole gap fill area to be working with. Daily downtrend, which means weekly consolidation is underway. At this point on Amazon, anything above 125.60 is just going to be for a weekly higher low for the bulls. So bulls with a decent amount of space to work with here. We do have our 12 EMA down here, right? 12 EMA is what? 130? Where's the gap fill area? Almost 130, right? So lining up, confluence, 12 EMA and the gap fill. So if we continue to fall, expect that to be your next area of support here, right? But Amazon right now, daily downtrend is confirmed. Weekly consolidation is underway right now. So we're going to take this one day at a time. Eventually the bulls are going to have to put in an engulfing move and change this daily trend for me to say that weekly consolidation is over. So just keep that in mind on Amazon. Now Google, getting into this right away. Google, downtrend still not set, but potentially coming, guys. If we flush here, this 128 level here, your daily downtrend will be confirmed at that point on Google as well. It will not be a tightening range anymore. It'll be a loss of a tightening range into a daily downtrend. At that point, if it does happen, we're going to be looking for the retracement here. It'll just be still weekly consolidation. Anything above 116 is just for a weekly higher low. Look at this 12 EMA, 124.75. Where's the earnings gap fill? 124-ish, right? So kind of lining up, a bit similar to Amazon here. So if we do break down here, guys, expect the bears to want to fill this gap fill as they kind of take advantage of the market weakness to fill any and all earnings gaps that they possibly can. So keep an eye on that on Google. Obviously, if we don't flush and reverse and we flush these tops up here, well, then your daily uptrend will be confirmed and your weekly consolidation will be done. And we will now be on to weekly higher highs. But I seriously doubt that Google is going to do that when SPY and QQQ are red, right? So just keep that in mind as our indexes are in major downtrends right now on the daily, and in weekly consolidation, it's going to be tough for any one of these stocks to individually outperform. Meta, now with the earnings gap fill completely filled, we continue to push to lower lows. Daily downtrend has resumed on Meta. So at this point, any bounce, guys, is just going to be for a lower high. Anything below 307 pretty much is just going to be for a lower high when that bounce happens for further continuation of the downside. Meta quickly approaching our line in the sand weekly level, 289, guys. Such a big level on Meta here. It's your last weekly higher low, right? Yes. Since our last area of major consolidation, 207, this is all one move, yes. But this is the key area of weekly support that bulls don't want to lose. If they lose this, guys, if they lose the 289 and the 12 EMA, you can confidently say that most likely monthly consolidation is underway for potentially 1 to 2 months at that point. And then it'll take a while to reverse, right? If we continue to move down and set a potentially, keep in mind, guys, this is a weekly down trend, a weekly down swing. But if we pop up here and then move down, that is your weekly downtrend, right? And look, if you could see the date at the bottom of my chart with my crosshair now, that's all the way through September, right? And through September would mean that we would have our 2 months of monthly consolidation. So very possible scenario, but it all relies on bulls' capacity to play defense at this crucial level right here. Okay, so daily downtrend is in motion until the bulls can engulf and reset the daily uptrend to the upside, and then you'll be confident that your weekly consolidation is most likely over. But as of now, bears short-term control, but at least the bulls, as you saw, control the monthly time frames, and they also control still the weekly time frame as well. So decent amount of space to work with. Microsoft, same thing on Microsoft, right? Microsoft daily downtrend, not quite continuing yet. Still haven't flushed this 319.27 area. So playing with disaster, but I'm not saying that this is going to happen because the rest of the market is really not playing along, right? But what you want to see when a daily downtrend is almost over is you want to see that bears are struggling to put in lower lows. You see how here they had a lot of momentum, right? And as this moves on, it's kind of softening and softening and softening. Obviously, in the next few days, we could just flush, no problem at all. But when this has been happening for a while, and let's say all of our major names looked the same, then you can see, okay, there's a trend going on here. It's possible that we've potentially bottomed up on the momentum to the downside. If you start seeing this in SPY and QQQ, same thing, right? So Microsoft on the 4-hour, not oversold yet, 4-hour downtrend, daily downtrend as well, still not oversold. So I'm confident in saying that Microsoft could definitely potentially push down and fill this little gap here. This tiny little gap we have right here, right? 317 is going to be the next area of gap fill with support here further at 313. So as of now, bears, short-term control, right? I'm expecting potentially a flush of your 319 level. It'll just be daily downtrend confirmed. Reconfirmed at that point, maintained. And your weekly, guys, quickly approaching my sweet spot. Loss of the 12 EMA, obviously, on the weekly. Quickly approaching my 307 down to 285. Sweet spot for Microsoft, right? Weekly higher lows, 275. Tons of space to work with. But if you pull back too much, open the door for a weekly downtrend, which would be further monthly consolidation for a couple months into my sweet spot here. But moral of the story, bulls in full control of the monthly and still full control of the weekly. We're still just looking for a weekly higher low. We could do something like this, right? And then reset it to the bulls. If it doesn't do it all in one shot, you could easily do something like this and reset it to the bulls. But at that point, look at my crosshair. We're still in September, and that will have been 2 months of consolidation or 3 months with September of consolidation, potentially move back up, right? So we're going to take this one day at a time on all these names. NVIDIA giving a bit back here on the gains that we had yesterday and Monday. So pretty much a lot of space for the bulls to work with still. This line in the sand level for me, 404, absolutely crucial level. If we continue trending down here, you have to watch out for this level, guys. Why? It's the weekly higher lows, right? So we had a great push here on Monday. Bulls with a lot of space to work with here. Still a lot of space to reverse this daily downtrend into a daily uptrend, but they're going to have to start stepping in soon, right? Because if we come all the way down here over the next few days, set up a new daily downtrend and flush this level, it's not going to look pretty on the weekly at that point, guys. You'll have flushed. You will definitely be in weekly consolidation, setting up for potentially a weekly downtrend. And at that point, guys, monthly consolidation potential as well. So take this one day at a time, but bulls starting to be playing some defense here to get the daily uptrend started. Earnings next Wednesday will be crucial. It will be the make or break for NVIDIA, guys. We're either going to break this area and get sent into further weekly, potentially monthly consolidation, or we're going to break these tops here, right, and be sent into new all-time highs. Very big day for NVIDIA on Wednesday next week and for the markets as a whole. Tesla falling off, not falling off a cliff because it's been falling off a cliff, right? But continue to plunge today, 3.16% to the downside. Daily downtrend continues, but Tesla getting slightly oversold at this point on the 4-hour. Definitely oversold. When were we this oversold on Tesla on the 4-hour? You have to go all the way back to April post earnings, right? So just keep in mind, we haven't been in this area in a while. Can we expect a bounce on Tesla soon? Potentially. But it'll be for a very short-term bounce, guys. Why? Because at this point, anything below 252 is just going to be for a lower high and lower low continuation until the bulls, I'll say it again on every single name, until the bulls can put in enough of a move against a previous downswing that they set the space to create a higher low compared to our previous low and reverse the daily uptrend here. Well, you have to expect that the most likely scenario is a lower high and lower low continuation as the daily downtrend continues. Now in my sweet spot on Tesla, 230 down to 210. 210 looking very juicy as an area right now. If you asked me where I think this move would potentially bottom out, Tesla, before getting oversold, has the room to come all the way potentially down to 215, 210 before being in the oversold territory. So just keep that in mind. We're now already in the sweet spot on many of my names, right? AMD, Apple, Tesla, right? So you need just be patient and wait for these things to come to you. Weekly, obviously weekly uptrend has been lost at this point. Now remains to be seen. What can the bulls do? Can they, once they bounce here, can they create enough space to potentially reverse the weekly trend as well? Or are we just going to be in a weekly downtrend for monthly consolidation? Monthly bulls full control, anything above 153 is just going to be a monthly lower high. But you see this, I don't want to see bears push through this area. Need to hold this even for the higher time frames to have a nice potential here to V-shape once that monthly consolidation is done. But as of now, Tesla, taking it one day at a time, just know that when we bounce, because we're oversold, guys, we're just potentially looking for a lower high before potential further consolidation until the indexes pull their own engulfing move. None of these individual names are, in my opinion, going to be able to do it. And lastly, PayPal and Palantir. PayPal, obviously, decent, not obviously, but surprisingly green, right? As the whole rest of the market is pretty much red today. Normal, they already got smashed so hard, right? So PayPal, still looking for the same thing essentially on this chart. All we're going to be looking for here as a result of our next bounce is going to be a lower high. Anything below 63.36, just going to be for a lower high for potential continuation of the downside, guys. At this point, we are so low, right? Dealing with potential new monthly downtrend, right? The previous low of this was 58.95. So we're getting close to there. And previous to that, guys, we have to go all the way back to 2017, right? So not a lot of data. PayPal is coming back almost like IPO prices. You know, it's pretty crazy, not gonna lie. So PayPal, same thing, even on the weekly, right? A weekly bounce just gonna be for a weekly lower high if ever we get the daily bounce underway. So PayPal eventually need this move to bottom out for the bulls to create enough space to eventually reverse the daily time frames here. But any bounce at this point, until the bulls prove it wrong to me on all these charts, the proof is on the bulls right now, right? Because any bounce is going to be for a technical daily downtrend. It's up to the bulls to prove to us that they want it by engulfing and resetting, right? Palantir, same principle. Palantir looking very weak here. This is a bear flag, guys, right? So really flagging at the bottom here. Bulls can't put in any upside. Usually when I see this, you're looking out for the lower high, anything below here, and it finishes down there, guys. Most likely going to get the daily downtrend to the downside here. I could be wrong, but that's just what the probabilities favor in my opinion. And if we do lose this daily here, if this daily bear flag plays out and we flush here, well, we're going lower, and anything at that point above 1360 is still a weekly higher low, but quickly losing ground, guys. I don't like how much Palantir is giving back. Set up the door for a potential tightening range, or at worst case scenario, a weekly downtrend, and that would lead you into further monthly consolidation. Monthly bulls with tons of space, anything above $7 is going to be a monthly higher low, right? So tons of space to deal with that, even if we lose the potential weekly uptrend here, right? But as with everything, take these one day at a time. I'm just saying these are the most likely scenarios. What you need to see from the bulls, need to see an engulfing move and then the daily trend reset. So no portfolio today pretty much, guys, because it's remained unchanged. The only thing I did was hedge my positions here on Tesla, rolled them down again. All of my positions right now in the account are hedged, even the Estee Lauder leap call. I actually wrote a call further out against that. So it's a poor man covered call. It's when you have a leap call and you write a call further out for slightly higher strike. So I got about the remaining price on my long contract on Estee Lauder is about $39. And I wrote this call for about $36. So I'm covered. Earnings on Friday, not taking any more chances with earnings, especially with the market we're in. I am all covered up in that trading account. So no more fluctuations. It's time to sit on our hands, be patient, let the market come to us, let these weekly consolidations play out. And then when they're in our sweet spot areas and we notice that the daily time frames are starting to reverse, that's when we're going to strike, guys. But for now, not much action in the portfolio. It's time to just sit back, take a deep breath, watch the market action here, preserve our capital, and strike when the prices are right, okay? So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'll be showing the account tomorrow, obviously. but I wanted to keep this one a bit shorter. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, consider liking, consider subscribing. I always appreciate your guys' reactions to the content and your appreciation of it. So I love you guys so much for all of your engagement so far. I will see you after the close tomorrow. Take care, have a great night, and peace.